Thanks for joining us. We're in the office of Sheriff Mike Granthum, and we had last year done an interview, and we spoke to you about the new open carry law that had just been enacted. And I wanted to look back a year later. Thank you so much for joining me and taking some time out of your busy day to do this.
Appreciate what you guys do.
Well, appreciate you very much.
Y'all do a good job. You really do.
Well, thank you, sir. So tell us, at this point, have we seen an uptick in gun incidents since the open carry law was enacted?
Like we said earlier, that open carry, it took effect January the 1st of 2023.
Right.
That's when it first started. And there's some stats out there, crime stats every year. And I don't like to go by stats.
Right.
And the reason why I don't, well, stats tell a true number, that's true. But one reason I don't like to go by stats, say if you lived here 30 years, you never had a burglary, and I say burglaries are down, and your house was just burglarized. Guess what? Stats aren't down for you. Burglaries aren't down for you.
They're up for us.
But it's a no-brainer. Yeah, crime's up. With the gun violence, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, is that a contributing factor? Sure, it is. I think it is. I would be fair to say that 90% of the sheriffs think it is. We fought that legislation for 10, 12 years. They've tried every year to push it through the House. They being the Republicans over in the House and the Senate and stuff, and they tried to pass that law. And the contributing factor that I personally think, that this law got passed. It was election time over in the legislature.
Right.
And the NRA came in here, and we couldn't stop it. We, being the Sheriff's Association, couldn't stop it. It's not good. Now, I'm all for the Second Amendment. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I'm a hunter myself. But, some of these guns are on the street, your AR-15s, your SKSs, and AK-47s and all that. That's a gun of war. That don't need to be on the street. I'm not saying you shouldn't own one. You can have it in your house for protection or what have you. But we have all these powerful guns on the street that don't need to be there. But as far as crime goes, it's definitely a contributing factor. Not that necessarily, a lot of people say, well, the bad guys not going to get the permit anyway. That's true. That's true. They're not going to come and get a permit. But their guns are so readily accessible now. Everybody has a gun now. Everybody has a gun. And if you didn't get a permit, you may have stopped that person from buying a gun, or not stop him, or he didn't want to purchase a gun because he didn't want a permit or what have you. So if you have an 18-year-old kid, or even 14 to 15, we see them at that age getting, we're charging families now. We're charging parents for the reckless having guns, not secure in their residence and so forth. The child gets it, goes out and shoots someone. You can be held liable for that. So the guns are easier to get now, so to speak. When I say easier to get, you can get a gun. You still have to go through the same checks and everything. And a lot of people,
if you get it legally.
That's right. And a lot of people misconstrue the open carry law. It's not for anybody. It's still got restrictions. If you're a felon, you still can't carry that gun.
Right.
It doesn't matter. A lot of people misconstrue that. We've even made some arrests. Well, open carry's out. I thought we could carry a gun. No, you're a convicted felon. You can't have a gun, period. And a lot of people misconstrue that law also. You can't even be in somebody's house that has a gun. You can't even have a gun in your house if you're a convicted felon, much less carry one. But crime has spiked as far as open carry goes. Gun violence has spiked. Look at Birmingham this past year. I think 151 murders. All-time high. Was that a contributing factor? It's kind of like a speeding ticket. You don't know. Everybody says, oh, it's a ticket. You gave me a ticket, you gave me a ticket. But it's one of those unheard stats or unforeseen stats that you really can't say that if I didn't give you that ticket, we may have vehicle homicide 5 miles from you. You're running 90 miles per hour in a 35-mile-an-hour speed zone. Most people look at it, oh, I got a ticket. No, we look at it as we just say the light down the road, because you don't never know. So, and one thing about it that's sad about the whole situation is the legislative, they're people, they put their pants on just like we do, the legislature does. And they're not going to rebut that law. It's just my opinion now. We're talking my opinion. They don't want to admit they're wrong. And I've talked to several of them said, we've made a mistake. We have made a mistake. But the ego is not going to let them go back. Do what's right. Rebut that law. And I'm speaking from a law enforcement side of it. And like I said, I'm all for the Second Amendment. But they're not going to sit up there and say, we made a mistake and recuse that law. They're not going to do it. And there's no bills in legislators pre-filed. Now's the time to start pre-filing stuff. And there's nothing that's been pre-filed to rebut that law. And it's been quiet. So, and I'm proud to say that our legislators and our Senate, they were strictly against it. Mr. Chestnut and Mr. Stewart, they were strictly against this law, and which they should have been. Because it's not safe. You don't want to have your 16-year-old girl, stopping at the local 7-Eleven to try to get some gas, and somebody's over there with a gun on their side. You don't know what's going to happen. It just don't make sense. And then you got some people that want to abuse it. You got some people that want to put an AR-15. Prater's Bridge, people come from all over the world to see Prater's Bridge. We'll have some people just walk across Prater's Bridge with AR-15 on their back. I mean, what do the citizens think of that? You know, they come into Selma, they think it's the Wild Wild West.
Well, and I mean, you obviously you are a staunch supporter of the Second Amendment. You've said that over and over again. Not a supporter of open carry, but what's the difference? Why would it be better to get a permit than to have an open carry? What you know, and especially with the idea that criminals aren't going to worry about doing it the right way anyway. So how is it that it would help to not have open carry?
It would help, number one, not having guns readily available. If you don't have to have a permit, you're more apt just to go buy a gun because you don't have to go through the process of getting a permit. You know, used to years ago, you had to register every gun.
Right.
You no longer have to do that. That permit would cover every one of your guns. You don't have to register the gun. But the permit, and I'm not afraid to say it, a lot of people won't say this, especially law enforcement, it's a database for law enforcement. It gives us another tool to use to identify someone. If, say for instance, if you get beat up going down the street and you have a picture of somebody, you don't know their name, and you don't have their address, because you got to have all that to sign a warrant. That's a database that we could use to find that information. And that's one of the big negatives that the public sees about this permit. They think that we're being the big brother, so to speak. It's a database. But the biggest advantage for you to get a permit, or a civilian to get a permit, is you have to have them in other states. If you travel, you have to have that permit. Like Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, and you got to find out, and there's a sheet that comes out, we have it readily available for people at the front desk. If you travel, they will accept our permit. Now, if you get caught with it, you're going to be charged if you don't have that permit. So if you travel, you know, across state lines, especially in the Southeast, a lot of them are still making you buy permits. If you don't have that permit, you can be charged, and they accept our permit. But it's just, I mean, it's a comfort thing to law enforcement too. Like, for instance, if we do a traffic stop, we say driver's license, you know, your ID, ma'am, and hand us the permit at the time. Hey, I got a gun in the car. It de-escalates the whole situation. And a lot of times, you know, some of these shootings could be prevented. When I say, you know, cop on civilian or what have you, some of these shootings could be prevented. Because a lot of times they'll say, oh, I got a gun in the car, and they reach for it. Don't do that. Don't do that. You know, just tell us where it's at, and if we ask you to step out of the car, or we're gonna go around and say, do you mind if we retrieve it, and just separate you from the gun. It's not illegal to have it.
Or you have a gun in the car.
That's
well,
right.
Show me your permit. Here it is.
That's right.
That's cool.
And when an officer asks you for your driver's license, just let them know at the time. Hand them the permit at the time. And it just lets them know that you're a law-abiding citizen. You're trying to be, even though it's not the law, that you're trying to do the right thing. And it de-escalates the whole situation. It calms the nerves of that officer. Because that's one of the most dangerous things a law enforcement officer can do, is pull a car over. His nerves are already there. I mean, the tensions are already high. Even though he's done it, you know, 100 times in the last, you know, 30 days. I mean, he's still that unknown.
That one time. That one time. That could be bad.
And if you have a permit and there's a gun in the car, show him the permit first. And that lets him know that that you're a law-abiding citizen, you're trying to do the right thing, and it calms everything down.
And if there is no permit, then that whole
it's fine.
Goes out the window.
Fine. Yeah. And a lot of people didn't understand too, when there was a permit required, if you put it in your car, it was considered concealed. No matter, and it could be on the seat and it was concealed. It didn't have to be in the glove box, because your car has a roof on it and it's concealed inside that area. So, you know, I see less arrest when I say with the gun, because, you know, most of our arrests now with gun charges are, of course, after the crime has been committed, or felony in possession or something like that. And I think that it's been out long enough to know now that the people will realize that just because it's open carry, there's still certain restrictions. You can't carry that gun into a federal building. You can't carry it into a courthouse, a school. All those restrictions are still in place. And people, I thought at first we were seeing an uptake in an arrest on some of those things. They were going to certain places they weren't supposed to go, or a felon would have it. Because when they heard open carry, hey, it's free for all. That's not true. And that was just a misconception people didn't inform. And we as sheriffs, and particularly me, I'm not afraid to say it, I didn't educate people on it, which I should have. You know, we did some stories and stuff, but we left out the part of the certain persons that are forbidden. You're still forbidden. If you don't have gun rights, you can't carry a gun, period. Can't be around a gun, period. So,
and then that would be felons.
No, the main reason why you can't have one is you're a convicted felon.
You
can be a felon. And another thing people don't understand, when they go get pardons, a lot of times when they get their pardon, we'll charge them with the gun. And they'll say, oh, I got my rights, I've been pardoned. And we look at their paperwork, and their pardon only says voting rights back. It don't say gun rights back. So that is huge to make sure your voting rights are restored and your gun rights are restored at the same time. A lot of times they don't do that.
And they just assume that
they assume,
right?
Yeah, because
so
they've been
they need to double check that.
That's right. They need to be pardoned.
And permits are still available, even though so you can still go by and come up here to the sheriff's office.
Right, they are, and you know, and the state realizes that. And a lot of people say all the sheriff's offices were just using it for financial gain. That's true. I'm not exaggerating.
Right.
I mean, we needed that money. I mean, to supplement. If, say, for instance, we were selling permits, the county commission don't have to give us more money in our budget, so to speak. They could maybe pave a road or something with that money they're giving us.
Yeah.
So the state saw that, and now the state has started reimbursing some of the sheriffs and the sheriffs for the lack of income they received from pistol permits. So that's helped a lot. Now, it's nowhere near the amount that we were getting.
Right.
And the sheriff don't have a discretion of what he can use that pistol permit for. I mean, there's certain things he can use that pistol permit for. You can't just go out and spend money like, you know, a drunken sailor.
Yeah.
You have to use it for certain things. And that was a misconception that the sheriffs would, you know, go and gambling or doing this or doing that, all kinds of crazy stuff. But that money's earmarked. And I just went through an audit. So, I mean, they checked the permit. The permit and the canteen at the jail, when I say canteen with the store items they buy, that's one of the most scrutinized parts of your audit you go through. And I'm proud to say we had 0 gigs on ours. We had 0 gigs. And it's just important to if you do have a gun, I mean, learn how to secure that gun, because now we're seeing these children getting these guns. They're taking them to school. We've had that here in Dallas County. We've had guns in our schools in Dallas County.
And they think it's okay because of open permit.
And they, of course, they were trying to hide them.
Yeah.
Of course they were, but it was an unsecured gun from the house. And if that kid was to do something in that school with that gun, the parents are going to be charged just as long as the kid. You see it on the news every day.
Yeah.
And I just wish the parents would understand how serious that gun is. I don't care if you take your son hunting or your daughter hunting, you know, 3 or 4 times a week. They're not supposed to have a gun. You got to have that. You got to be 19 years old to be open carry. It's that simple.
And another distinction is open carry the same thing as concealing it, even though you don't have a permit.
Yes, you can. I mean, as far as the law looks at it, it is. But you know, and I don't understand why somebody would want to open carry it. It don't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense.
Because, say for instance, if you want to use it for your protection, and you're sitting at a restaurant and you're sitting there with the gun on your side, or even walking to the store, somebody comes in and robs the store, and they see you with a gun. Guess what? You're gonna be the first one they take out. So why not hide that gun? Yeah. I mean, and I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of us men, they have the little man syndrome, and they want to carry this big 44 Magnum on their hip, and they think it makes them a man. I mean, they do.
You don't like my 44?
Yeah, you don't like my 44 Magnum. I mean, they think as a man, they got little man syndrome or inferiority complex of some sort, and you know they got every right to carry it. I mean, the law says you can open carry it or what have you, but if you really want to protect yourself and your family, keep it concealed. Keep that gun concealed.
I have a 44, but I got it because it was a very good price.
And I'm gonna tell you too, a lot of businesses, if you go to a business and you see the little Ghostbuster sign with the red thing on, and it says no gun, you cannot go in that store with a gun. If it's privately owned, you cannot go in that store. You have a right to keep people out of your store with that gun. But the law states that the employees there have to approach you first. We don't recommend that. Because, I mean, say for instance, if you had a little boutique, a little clothing store for women, a lot of your high school kids work at these type stores.
Sure.
I don't recommend a high school kid going. And approaching that person with a gun, saying, "Hey, you can't come in here with this gun,"
right?
Because there's going to be a confrontation most of the time.
Yeah.
That's what the law says. You have to confront them first. But I would ask you to call 911 to get a law enforcement officer there, and then we're going to confront them together. And then if they don't leave, then we can do something with them. But we got to give them a chance to leave first. If you don't leave, then we can do something with you.
And that goes back to if they have it concealed and nobody knows it's even there.
Exactly.
You know, even though they're not supposed to have it there, but if you got it
nobody's
concealed,
gonna know.
Nobody's gonna know.
I just don't understand why you want to carry it open. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Unless you just want to prove that you got a Second Amendment right. I mean, I don't understand.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with that. For you know, if some people want to do it, I just don't understand it myself.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
That's that's neither here nor there.
I think it's a little man syndrome. I think it's inferiority complex. I really do. I don't know. Yeah. But, you know, I mean, I've got guns. I mean, several guns. But, you know, when I'm off work, I'm not going to carry mine on my hip. I mean, I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. It's just, I mean, you're the target. If something was to happen, you're the target. Yeah, you want it ready, accessible in case you need it. But, I mean, there's all kinds of shirts you can buy. You can buy a shoulder holster. You can buy anything. You don't have to shoulder hit everybody that you got a gun.
Well, you know, you talk about you can still get permits. What do you do to get one, and how much do they cost?
Yeah, we haven't gone up on permits. It depends on what county you're in, but in Dallas County, some are higher. I mean, we only charge $20. Now, I don't charge, when I say $20, it's $20 a year.
Right.
And we'll give you up to a 5-year permit, which will be $100. We're actually working on our computer system now to do a lifetime permit.
Oh, wow.
And we're trying to figure out, you know, the age limit. I don't like the lifetime hunting license if you're 80 years old and go buy a lifetime hunting license, you're not gonna get the bang for your buck. I don't like that. I don't like that. So I would like to see it divided up a little bit. At certain ages, a lifetime costs you this, at this age, that at that age.
I see what you're saying.
But we're trying to work through that now. But you can buy it up to 5 years, which will be $100. And it's a simple process. It's an application. You come up to the sheriff's office, or you can get it downstairs. You don't have to come all the way up. As soon as you walk through the door, the guard at the door can present you one. You fill that form out. Bring it up to the sheriff's office. A lot of people think the sheriff okays the pistol permit. We do okay it, but we have to send that off to do a check. And then they send us the criminal history back and stuff. We interpret that criminal history and let the people know if they can get it or not. And then you get it. It takes 1 week. That's all it takes. If you fill out on a Monday, you can come back the following Monday and you can check it and see if you get your permit or not.
Fantastic. I guess you would recommend people do that.
Yes, I would recommend a permit. And I will tell you this. I mean, if you support law enforcement, what's $20 a year?
Right.
I mean, what's $20 a year? And I'm looking at it from the money part. I am. I mean, a lot of sheriffs won't tell you that.
That's part of your job.
It is what it is. I mean, I got to finance my department, and I got to look out for my county. So if I'm able to contribute to my budget, and the county's not have to, they can spend that money somewhere else. They can put a park for a kid. They can,
help
fix
finish
potholes.
the jail.
Finish the jail or what have you. So, it's a good thing to have. I mean, it does. It is. It's a good thing to have.
Would you have any final words or final thoughts?
No, I just, I hate that the city had a murder start off the year. It's mighty early, just a couple of days in.
Luckily, they've made an arrest.
Yes. We were fortunate last year. Like I said, I don't like to say crimes down. Murders, I think we had 6 last year total. We have 5 arrests so far on those, working on the other one. And one thing I see, and I don't want to say my investigators are the best in the world, because we're not. There's always somebody better out there. But the public trusts the county sheriff's department. They do.
Yes.
And it's the information that's out there. We're solving it on people's help in the community. And that means a lot to me. It does. We can't do it without the public's help. I mean, there's no way we can solve these crimes without the public's help. We only have 2 eyes. There's thousands of eyes out there. And people are tired. People are sick and tired of their house getting shot into. They're tired of their kids getting shot. They're tired of their cars getting shot into, and people are starting to speak up. They're trusting us a lot more. And it takes time to do that. Once you lose trust in a department, not saying that the county has lost trust before, it's just that we have more trust than ever. Number one is that when somebody gives you information, you have to protect that person. You can't put that person out there. And now they see that we're going to protect them. If we have to move them somewhere, we put them in secret witness. We move them out of the county or what have you. We have to help with the feds to help us do that kind of stuff. And if you commit a crime with a gun in Dallas County, we prosecute it in Mobile. We take it straight to Mobile. We have our federal courthouse now. We're going to start prosecuting them here. And the reason why we do that is nothing against our system here. It's just slow. The state system is slow, not just in Dallas County. It's slow statewide. And when I say slow, say for instance, if I indict somebody now, it may be 5 years before I go to court under indictment. 90 days, a little less than 90 days is the federal system. If we indict you, you're in court. So, I mean, you can commit a crime, in January, in April or May, you're in jail if you're convicted. And their success rate is 90-something%. So if you're charged federally, you're going to prison. And that's where you belong if you're committing gun crimes. That's where you commit. And nothing wrong. If you want to buy a gun, go buy a gun. I mean, that's a good investment. I mean, you get your money. If you want to save money, a lot of people say, we need to buy a bond, we need to buy this. Guns are a big investment. They only go up. The price only goes up. You can make some money off some guns. But, buy the right guns. If you're going to hunt, buy hunting guns. We don't need AR-15s out there that hold 150 rounds. Why does somebody need that? You don't need that. You don't need it. And often we do gun classes. We do at least 2 a year to teach people about guns and stuff.
Read my mind. I'm about to go there.
We do gun classes, at least, it warms back up. We're going to announce one in the spring.
Oh, good.
And we do it a little different than other people, not saying that other people are wrong. We keep our classes 10 to 12 people. The reason why we do that, we do a lot of one-on-one.
I got you.
We don't sit there and talk about where Smith & Wesson came from. You want to learn about that gun.
And you want to bring your gun.
That's right. And you bring your gun and learn your gun. You want to learn how to load it, unload it. I don't care if it's a 22 or a 45. I mean, we're going to let you, or a 44. We're going to let you shoot that gun as much as you want to shoot it. And I'm going to tell you something. And at the end of the day, every class we've had except one, a female has won the competition at the end. We have a little friendly competition at the end. They win the door prize because they listen. We know everything.
Of course
we know everything. The gun, we're man. We're supposed to. So we know how to shoot the gun. When they listen, it's unbelievable how well they shoot. They're scared to death of that gun to start with. They are scared to death of it. But once they go through that class, it's unbelievable. I wouldn't want to shoot against them. I mean, they're that good.
It'd be fun for my wife and I to take the class together.
That would be
But
fun.
she thinks
Come
she
on
knows
out.
everything about guns too.
She probably outshoot you.
She probably would.
She's gonna listen because we know everything.
But you know what?
But
it'd be good to know, so then I know how to adjust my behavior.
there you go. That's right. That's right. You might not want her to shoot well.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
But anyway, it's a good class.
Yeah.
And
When
it's
is it
cheap.
again?
We'll do it again in the spring.
Yeah.
We let the temperatures warm up a little bit, and we'll do it then. And it's fun. We out on the range now. We don't sit in the classroom, like I said, and talk about different guns. We talk
dress
about your gun.
appropriately and be ready to work.
And the main question I get every class I get is, number one, what's the best gun for me?
Mm-hmm.
And I always have to say this. And I said, look, I'm not trying to be a smart fanny or anything like that, but the best gun is the gun you can hit with, that you can actually hit your target with. Yeah, I mean, if you're 95 pounds, you don't need a big 44 Magnum. You're not going to hold it. So, I mean, and then they always say, and be honest with you, the best home defense gun is a shotgun.
Yeah.
I mean, no questions asked. It's a shotgun. You're not.
Sure.
If you shoot a pistol or a rifle, one projectile's coming out, a little small projectile, piece of lead. You shoot a shotgun, depends on what kind of shot you got in there, bullets are going everywhere. So that's the best home defense gun. And all you got to do is pull the trigger. Yeah. So, you know, to each his own. You know, some people are comfortable with revolvers. Some people are comfortable with semi-automatics like we carry. And the reason why now, my backup gun, I carry a revolver. A revolver's going to shoot when you pull the trigger.
Right.
No ifs, ands, and buts about it. It's less moving mechanisms. It's, you know,
Good
if something
point.
moves, the more stuff moves, the more it's going to break down.
Exactly.
And these guns that we carry, semi-automatics, they would jam sometimes.
Yeah.
But law enforcement carries them because you have more capability of shooting. You have more rounds to shoot.
Right.
These things can hold, you know, 15, 18 rounds. But depends on what kind of magazine you have.
Yeah.
For a clip, where most revolvers hold 6.
Right.
So you give you more shots. But that's why law
That's a
enforcement
good
carries
point.
those. But as far as a quality gun and a good shooting gun is, and the safety of a gun is a revolver. Is revolver. The trigger pulls a little hard for females sometimes with revolvers, but now, you know, they make revolvers now out of aluminum. They don't have the hammer sticking up and to get caught on your purse and all that.
They have, and some of them, they have some hammerless revolvers now.
The hammer's not sticking up, it's internal. So, I mean, there's a gun out there for everybody. You don't have to have this big, huge caliber gun or anything.
Right.
So, it is what it is. But, you know, open carry, it's either dang if you do, dang if you don't.
Right.
But, you know, for safety wise, you know, keep your gun concealed for yourself. Keep your gun concealed. There's no need of walking across the bridge or walking downtown with a gun on your hip or a big rifle strapped to your back. You'll see motorcycles going through town sometimes with a gun, rifle strapped to their back. You don't have to do that to make yourself safe. You know, the bad guys got guns. Yes, the bad guy most of the time is not going to get a permit. That's true. They're going to break into your car and steal the gun. But if you have that permit and stuff, we can find out, once we do the trace, we have a database where we can find out where that gun originally came from, and we can call you. Hey, did you sell that gun? Was it in a burglary and you didn't have a serial number? And
Right.
that's another
So if
thing.
your gun gets stolen, a permit will.
That's right. We have as a
cover it.
contact. Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand. Write your serial number down when you buy these guns. If you report a burglary and your gun's stolen and you don't have a serial number, guess what? That gun's never going to be in the system as stolen. And then if you rob a bank, if somebody breaks in your house, steals something, robs a store, bank, whatever, commits a crime with that gun, and they drop it, we run that serial number, it's coming back to the original owner. And that's going to be you. You better have some type of documentation saying that you sold that gun, or you're going to be the prime suspect at the time until we can work things out. So, you know, it's you know, I encourage everybody to get it. Number one, if you travel, please get it, because if you get caught without it, you're going to be charged in another state.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking time with me. Let us know when you're doing the classes. We'll get those out so everybody will know.
Good deal.
And thank you so much.
No problem.
Appreciate
Thank y'all. Appreciate what y'all do with Selma Sun. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks for joining us.